Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, things adjacent. I'm going to give you a super quick video today. Super quick. This is me giving you a very quick video. Here we go. What I wanted to do was I'm going to read a new Way Past What the Fuck entry. There's actually a couple that I'm going to be spacing out over the week, but I wanted to read some comments real quick. Good comments picked up yesterday. One comment from Mopeds. The Model T was originally designed to run on alcohol, which people could distill themselves. At the time, Rockefeller's Standard Oil was producing kerosene for lamps, which was made safe by refining the volatile gasoline out. The gasoline was regarded as a waste product and was disposed of in huge furnaces. Rockefeller used his political influence to bring about prohibition, which prevented people from making their own alcohol. He convinced Ford to convert his cars to run on gasoline. Then, for 10 years, the only available fuel was gasoline. Whoa. This is quite a conspiracy, if true. I mean, there's documented conspiracies about the automobile industry basically taking down the train system in Los Angeles, right? I mean, that's well known. We used to have a working train system in LA, and the automobile industry and other industries as well joined forces and basically pushed the trains out and to make this a car city. By the time Prohibition ended, the momentum was with gasoline and has been ever since. Today, gasoline is still a byproduct and can be reduced in price as required to keep any competing technologies such as EVs at an unfair advantage. Even if gasoline were banned, it would still have to be removed before any other petroleum product could be made. Thus, we see the price of gasoline gradually decreasing to keep EVs at bay. Ford has just released a brand new 7.3-liter gasoline engine, which generated huge excitement with the prospect that we won't have to give up our V8 gas guzzlers anytime soon. Nobody wants to do that. Yeah, I was just thinking a little bit this morning too about how hard it is for people to give up, the things they're accustomed to having and using and doing and being. It's quite large. I mean, if anybody's ever broken up with anybody that they were in love with, but they knew this person was bad for them, you know that you spend a lot of time wishing you were still with that person, probably going back and forth over and over again because you miss, the ease and the comfort and all that kind of stuff. But it's bad for you. It's hurting you. It's killing you. And this is exactly the relationship that everybody, pretty much, majority, 90% of the people on the planet have with industrial civilization. I'm going to read a comment from Marty McCorkle. When I feel alarmed, I certainly shut down violently. Dead end signs indicating a terminal road alarm alarm me tremendously and put mileage on my security blanket. I'd like them to read New Beginnings, despite the potential car crashes, what I call car changes. Bridge out signs may cause approaching drivers to leap out in panic and run into oncoming traffic. So change those signs to bridge changed. This may result in vehicles and their passengers ending their careers at the bottom of the rivers, but alarm will be reduced tremendously. World War II ought to have been the second pillow fight to reduce alarm among nations. Nuclear warfare becomes warm fuzzies. Don't use the terms climate change or global warming. Too alarming. Call them new improved climate and warmies. Though the name change won't stop famine, now national dieting. And Kevin, some people are alarmed by bears, no matter their color, size, or disposition. So Black Bear News should be big, fluffy jamboree hour. Less alarming and may ride high in the YouTube logarithms like Aladdin on his flying non-stationary carpet. Awesome comment from Marty McCorkle. Hilarious. I'm pointing out the ridiculous language that we're developing to keep, to to make everything seem very nice and fluffy. Yes, we should change the name of Black Bear News to Big Fluffy Jamboree Hour. Let's do it. All right, so I'm going to read this article from Way Past What the Fuck and Michael Campy, and then I'm going to bid you all adieu. This is called Fun Facts to Know and Share. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince the world he didn't exist. This is from The Usual Suspects. That's a quote from The Usual Suspects. Although these may not be facts and you may not want to share them for fear of losing all your friends, the following items may be A, something I made up, B, something someone else made up, or C, something that is actually true. You decide. Number 1, Theresa May, early in her tenure in office, was replaced by an automaton designed by Disney at the behest of the U.S. government to allow America to destabilize the UK and get back at them for all the grief they caused us in the Revolutionary War. 2, the events of 9/11 were orchestrated by 3 of the world's largest insurance agencies and had taken out policies on the buildings in order to collect the settlements and further enrich themselves. 3, Rush Limbaugh and Bernie Sanders are actually lovers who are working together to undermine the credibility of right-wing nutters. 4, former CEO of eBay, Meg Whitman, is secretly a man. 5, an extremist environmental group has dumped millions of gallons of water-soluble sterilization drug into the drinking supplies of major U.S. cities. 6, recent power outages and computer glitches have been credited to a group calling themselves the Hillbilly Hackers, whose stated goal is to bring the government to its knees and force them to provide moonshine and grits to all red-blooded American citizens. 7, Netflix and HBO have partnered to release a new series called On the Run. This will be an ongoing program that will turn catastrophic events that occur in the morning into a movie of the week that night. 8, the moon and stars don't actually exist. They are part of our larger plot to convince us of that. For at least part of 24-hour, for at least part of each 24-hour period, it is night. The purpose behind this deception is not yet known. 9, in a brief leaked by a confidential source to an undisclosed news outlet, a reporter has proof that DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, has succeeded in weaponizing hamsters. They're mean little jerks too, so I believe it. 10, Elvis and Jim Morrison have been discovered living in Boca Raton under the Witness Protection Program. Access to nearly unlimited amounts of information and erosion of critical thinking skills has put us in a sticky spot. There is so much available that differentiating between what's real and what's fantasy becomes increasingly difficult. Philip K. Dick, author of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the book upon which the Blade Runner movie is based, said, "Unceasingly we are bombarded with pseudo-realities, reality that which, when you stop believing in it, doesn't go away. Pseudo-realities, however, have taken over. There are no filters on the mountains of information growing outside our doors. If underground militant cells were setting off hundreds of bombs and robbing banks across the country these days, of course, America would be crazed, consumed, talking of nothing else, and probably under martial law. The bombings back then, pre-internet, seldom made the national news because a reasonable and rational establishment was still in charge of the media discourse, determined to help Americans remain reasonable and rational," said Kurt Anderson in his book Fantasyland, How America Went Haywire, a 500-year history. The people guarding the gate have left their posts, people whose job it was to analyze situations and events and report on them in a responsible manner are long gone, replaced by lunatics whose only responsibility is to disseminate fictions and outright lies. The glut of information and pseudo-information has effectively buried real information in an avalanche of crazy. Anderson again said, if you're fanatical enough about enacting and enforcing your fiction, it becomes indistinguishable from nonfiction. It is into this arena that abrupt climate change has been thrown. It is easy for the general population to dismiss our alarmist rantings as nothing more than another conspiracy theory. They will never believe it because it is the threat to their complacency in admitting that there is a very real problem would be anathema to their beliefs. As Anderson stated, you are entitled to your own opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts. Ding, ding, ding. We are living in a strange world that is full of half-truths, misdirections, and outright lies. Large segments of the population still depend on mainstream news outlets for their facts, still laboring under the antiquated notion that they are being told the truth. Boom. This is pretty much summing up what I was thinking about as well this morning. So maybe I don't need to expound on it. It is sad. commentary on the state of the nation, that the world at large, that people whose only interest is placating and entertaining the drooling masses have become the standard for discourse. Conspiracies, like myths, are developed to help deal with the unknown, which is not to say they aren't real. It is possible to come up with a conspiracy based on a collection of observable facts and be pretty close to the truth. Anderson said, acknowledging actual specific conspiracies makes sense, but reflexive conspiracism can become a bad habit and a misguided way of making sense of current events. It has been my experience that no matter how unbelievable a conspiracy theory it is it doesn't hold a candle to what is actually happening. The world of technology, like the environment, is changing at an exponential rate. There is not a snowball's chance in hell that we will be able to keep up. Dave Foreman, one of the founding members of Earth First, in response to a question about our ability to deal with the technology that is being forced upon us, if we use a human lifespan as the measuring stick, then the technology is in its teen years and we are pre-embryonic. Adaptation is not an option. We are physically and mentally limited in both our ability to absorb, process, and then adapt to change. We just can't do it. Things are moving fast, and everything we come up with to explain it, either to ourselves or others, will most likely be last week's news before the words are even out of our mouths. The operative model should now be working toward an understanding of what is important and dismissing any attempts at explaining what is going on. Move forward, fight on, and never let them win, even though you know that they will. In the end, there is only, I told you so. Excellent stuff. I'm going to link that below if you all want to read that again for yourselves. I just read it for you, so maybe no need. Or if you want to pass it on, you can do that. You can do that as well. Yeah, I was just thinking this morning about somebody said on the comment section, and like people are so committed to their silos of thought, their whatever spectrum of thought they're in, that they believe the other side is lying, and that everything everybody is telling them on this side is the truth. And it's very hard for people to be suspicious of actually everything, because it puts you in a state of like, what do I believe? That's actually what I believe. I'm suspicious of pretty much everything. Even alternative news channels, quite a few, who I may, really respect and really like go to all the time. I still have to carry a certain amount of suspicion with me, because I just don't know. Usually you can tell, you get a feeling or whatever, but like, I don't know. I see people believing all kinds of crazy stuff. People still believe Rachel Maddow is telling them the truth, that she's not a conspiracy theorist. She's an actual conspiracy theorist. She is as bad as Alex Jones, and yet she holds a spot on national news every night and brainwash. And people are just like, I heard it on Rachel Maddow, it must be true. That's how they get you. They make you believe that, they use your trust in the, they use your trust in the powers that are respectable and right and, mainstream and have money behind them and corporations behind them. So they wouldn't tell you any lies. The same corporations that own all of our politicians, they wouldn't tell you any lies. It's just insane. And yes, there is too much information out there to parse. It's very difficult. You got to parse it yourself, and you got to find other people that are willing to parse it too. I'm willing to parse it because I don't believe in the right or left paradigm being like, utterly true, or, there's so much misinformation on all sides that you really have to be very thorough and very skeptical of everything you hear and almost everything you see. If you see it on TV or on YouTube, things can be manipulated. There are technologies. Even things you see cannot be real. Obviously, to most people, I'm stating the obvious. I'm just stating it for the people that don't, possibly might be struggling with this information. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time, peace.